This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles, on the Rockstar Radio Network. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money, and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by Author You and the Book Shepherd on the Rockstar Radio Network. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, it's Colorado. We had a blizzard a couple of days ago, but the good news is about Colorado, it's gone. The snow is gone. It's all melted away. And we all got cards in the mail saying we have a drought and we're down to 2 days a week for summertime watering. So you go figure. But that's the way it is. All right, so we're into book publishing. I've given you the update of what's going on. We're dealing with authors. And with me for this hour is an amazing person. We've had him before. It's been one of the top shows, the previous one that we did on this topic. But now we're going to go deeper diving into it, which is all about blogging. Joel Friedlander is with us. And Joel is known as the book designer, but he is truly so much more. And with the whole thing that he does, besides creating fabulous covers, interior designs, he is a consultant. And what I love about Joel is he's kind of like me. He's blunt and butt-kicking. And he's created a phenomenal resource of books and guides and tools and resources and training courses. If you go to his website, thebookdesigner.com, and put in your handy-dandy email, you'll download a 20-plus page guide to the 10 things you need to know about self-publishing, which I'd highly recommend. He's got a whole new segment up on book design templates that's worthwhile to take a look at. And he's also, besides being someone who designs books, he's also a publisher himself. And so the Self-Publisher's Companion is an excellent resource. And he's got the roadmap, which he's going to talk about a little bit as we go through our hour together. And the whole roadmap that he's put together for authors, which is truly excellent. But here's one thing I'd highly recommend you do, and this is why we're going to be talking about this. He blogs 6 days a week. Now, I know you as listeners, you're going to go OD, overwhelm, glaze the eyes. I'm not telling you to do this, but he will give you this message because I do the same thing. You got to, when it comes to blogging, you got to keep mindful of the 3 C's. You got to have content, not crap, content. You've got to be consistent and you've got to be committed. And with that, Joel, welcome back to your guide to book publishing.
Thank you, Judith. That was quite an introduction.
There you go. No crap. That's the
Much appreciated. No crap there at all.
All right. So, and I should say, Joel is one of the stars at the Author You Extravaganza. That is, he will be speaking in Denver, Colorado on May 2nd. And we've got over 75 people who have butts in the chairs already for a session that only has 10 more spots in it. And he will be doing a deep dive into the whole blogosphere of what to do, what not to do, how to grow, how to do amazing things. So, Joe, why don't we just kind of drop into that, and I'm going to let you lead my way here.
Sure. Well, Judith, I am a huge fan of blogging because I've lived the dream. Come on. I went from zero to hero. It didn't take that long. And there is nothing, I'm convinced there's absolutely nothing a nonfiction author can do that would be better than learning how to blog and to do it well.
All right. And so if we were to go from zero to hero, so you went from 2 people, that's you and your mom, to we have to count mom or our best friend or our spouse, someone in that line.
Sure.
What kind of number counts are you looking at today?
Well, Well, it's really grown, Judith. Last time I looked, in the last 30 days, we had about 140,000 page views on my blog. That's a lot of pages. And that's coming out of about 60,000 visitors, 59,720 visitors in 30 days. Now, we, as authors, we work really hard to get our books in front of people. And, look, I love doing it. We go to book shows. We go to, those street fairs. You get book talks. But, every day on my blog, I've got 2,000 to 3,000 people every single day. So what kind of result is that for me to put my books in front of somebody or my training products or whatever else?
Well, it's called making a living.
Yeah, exactly.
How's that?
Turning your kind of hobby or self-publishing hobby into a sustainable business.
Well, and I think that, Joel, what's really important for me, and certainly with the authors that I work with, is that when I talk about platforms is that the key component, you start off with a whole building of a platform, whether it's a blog platform, whether it's a book platform, whether it's a fill-in-the-blank platform, is there's got to be a vision. You've got to have some kind of a big picture of who you are and where you want to go with this baby. So
absolutely true. And, for some people, the biggest problem they have when they start blogging is really figuring out what their niche is, what they're going to blog about. But, nonfiction authors are way ahead. We already know the subject matter. We already know usually who the big players are, the thought leaders. We already know who we're talking to because, after all, we're writing nonfiction books for somebody specific. That gives you a tremendous leg up when you get started blogging.
And that's how you build from zero to hero, where you become one of the major players out there that people want to go to, and get information, get advice from, buy the books, buy your products. I mean, I should ask you, Joel, when you and I first really started talking, your blog was part of it, but you hadn't even written a book yet.
That's right. I self-published a book back in the 1980s, and even though I've been producing hundreds of books for other people all that time in between, I never sat down and published any more of my own books, which was kind of strange, you might say. But that's right. And in 2011, I started to publish again and put out a self-publisher's companion, which was an interesting story too, Judith, because that book came directly from my blog. Virtually all the content in it was published on my blog first.
I know. I remember saying to you, why don't you just take a lot of this stuff and put it together as a book? I remember having that discussion with you.
Exactly.
I want a royalty. All right, so... Well, that's going to come back when you are going to do a sensational talk at the extravaganza during that time. And by the way, everyone, Joel's going to be there the whole time, so you can get some time with him. You can pick his brain. He's going to be around. He's going to lead a roundtable of Rounds with the Pros on Friday afternoon. I mean, he's going to be a rock star. And
I love connecting with people, Judith. I love doing we do the Ask the Pro session sometimes. And, if you've been doing it a long time, and I know the same is true for you, Judith, because you've just seen so many books and talked to so many authors, that sometimes in 15 to 20 minutes, you can actually give people some very substantial help, particularly as far as positioning books, because that's something that, amateur publishers frequently don't really get. They don't understand that about how they have to position their book properly, and that's going to have a huge impact on their success.
Well, I view that as laser coaching. That it really, when I tell people if they want to talk to me, you can call me and I'll give you 10 to 15 minutes max, and then you better get your credit card out. But I have your questions ready and bang them out so you can get it going. What you do with them is your choice, but that you're going to get the answers, and I know you respond the same way.
Absolutely. And obviously people who really know what their question is are going to get helped a lot faster with much more focus than people who just kind of don't have a clue. So, everybody's at a different stage, and, people who have a specific problem or an obstacle they're running up against or something they can't figure out, something specific, it's always much easier to help those people and solve that problem.
Well, let's get into those kind of stages. So if you were to talk with someone who is brand new and green, which sometimes is good news because you don't have to unteach them, but brand new and green, what are the baby steps before we take into leapfrog steps in setting up the blogs and doing becoming the...
I have a whole routine I do, Judith, because I do consult with people quite often, authors, about setting up blogs and learning how to use a blog properly to promote their books. And one of the first things I ask them to do, one of their first homework assignments, is to come up with a tagline for the blog. And, that's a little bit like a subtitle on a book. But the tagline on the blog is frequently where we give readers or browsers who come by the basic offer that the blog is making. And, for instance, on my blog, it's called The Book Designer, as you said. Thank you for mentioning that. And the tagline says, practical advice to help build better books. That's my offer. I mean, that's been my offer from day one, and it's still my offer today. And, that sounds like a very simple statement, doesn't it? Practical advice to help build better books. I want to tell you, Judith, I spent hours coming up with that. Literally hours. I had dozens and dozens of statements, until I settled on that one because it perfectly encapsulated what I intended to do. And when I did that, I'd written only one or two articles. And that is kind of, it both guides me as a blogger, and it also is like a flag or a banner to let people know what they can expect from the blog. It helps define the audience that I'm trying to reach.
Okay, so we're going to go into a quick break here, but here's important, everyone listening to that tagline is critical, and it's not something that's going to come to you probably in 10 seconds. Develop it. We'll be right back. I'm Judith Briles, and it's your guide to publishing.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Is there a book in you or another? Author U will show you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you'll find a supportive and brainstorming community that's connected and creative no matter where you live. Author U brings in national experts for its book camps and annual author extravaganza held each May. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through Author U's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. The Resource, its online book publishing news magazine, is content-heavy and it's free. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, Author U is for you. If you're a hobbyist or a casual author, it's not. Join Author U today through its website at authoru.org. Follow Author U on Twitter at Author U and on Facebook at Author U, where timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted daily. Author U, where the author goes to become seriously successful.
Do you sell stuff? Do you want to sell books? Lots of them? If yes, you must take credit cards, the most widely used form of payment today. The Free Terminal has created a special program for your guide to book publishing listeners. No contract. All equipment is free. Extremely low rates and no termination fees ever. Contact Alan Dean at alan@thefreeterminal.com or call him at 303-668-6828. The The free terminal has handled all credit card transactions for both AuthorU and Judith for over a year. Don't wait another day. Contact Alan at thefreeterminal.com or call 303-668-6828 and tell him you want the no-contract AuthorU deal.
Every picture tells a story. And it's a truism that people do judge a book by its cover. Nick Sellinger and NZ Graphics have been in the business of producing superior graphic cover design and interior layout for self-published authors, independent and traditional publishers for years. He has developed a reputation for excellent work, fast turnarounds, and best of all, affordable pricing. NZ Graphics also produces ebooks and book marketing materials such as posters, sell sheets, postcards, bookmarks, business cards, logos, and more. Books designed for his clients have won multiple book awards, including Best Book Award by U.S. Book News, multiple Evie Awards from the Colorado Independent Publishers Association, Indie Book Awards, the San Francisco Book Festival Award, and Freedom Medal Award from Valley Forge. Visit www.nzgraphics.com or call 303-985-4174 for more details about making your book the success it should be. Mention that you are an FOJ, friend of Judith's, and that you heard about NZ Graphics on your guide to book publishing.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Okay, so we are back with the amazing Joel Friedlander, the book designer, the spectacular, really practical, down-to-earth advisor to really create and build better books. And he's got all the tools on his website, thebookdesigner.com. But we're talking about blogging right now. And we started off with kind of like, okay, so you're kind of clean, you're green, or maybe you need to do a makeover, which is certainly the case in a lot of the blogs we see. So he started off with, one, you got to have a great tagline that really uses your keywords so the search engines will pick up who your gang and crowd is looking for. Does that sum that up, Joel?
Yeah, and it also guides you as a blogger as you go forward.
Yeah, okay. And for me, I mean, I'm always writing about book or publishers, or for some reason, I have gotten really tagged as the person to go to if you've been taken over by a predator, a publishing predator, because I have written so many blogs on it.
And you've rescued so many people.
Yeah, I have, and some of them are pretty painful, let me tell you, with that. But so we have our step number one, great tagline. What's step number two?
Okay, step number two is look at your blog and think about the fact that a blog and writing a blog and publishing a blog isn't that dissimilar to self-publishing a book. So one of the other exercises I give people that's really super helpful is to create their set of categories. Now, every blog has categories that you're going to be posting articles in. For instance, some of my categories are book design, book production, book printings, everything, related to my categories. Now, the way to think about that is suppose you were going to write a book on this subject. Then the categories on your blog would be the chapters in your book, okay? So if you were to outline a book on the subject that you're going to start writing your blog about, all you have to do is come up with the categories, and it might be 8 categories, it might be 12 categories. Probably not going to be too many more than that. Maybe 10 or 15 would be the maximum, because you really want to keep focused. All right, so that's a great exercise. That's part one. And part two, and we haven't talked about this, is that each category, you have to take that category and then start identifying the keywords that are really important in that specific subject.
All right.
If you do this, Judith, you end up with an amazing, powerful tool in your hands, because you now have the tools to write about everything in your subject matter area and make sure that your articles, if they're done properly, are going to rank really well in search engines.
Mm-hmm. And, I have to share this with you. I had a new client come in this morning, and who I promptly signed up for your sessions, both of them. And she, they glaze, I can see the glaze that comes over the eyes when you start about all these things, because it is an overwhelm, and I do get that. And that as she says, I have no idea block, and I just picked up, and it's not a huge manuscript. We're dealing with a small book under 40,000 words, and I said, right here you have a year's worth of blogs without even thinking about it. See all these subsections? You've got these 12 chapters. See these subsections? Here's your lead. Take this first paragraph, give your comments on it, give some 1, 2, 3 tips. You're done. And I think that sometimes they put more work on themselves than they need to be, especially as they start off, to get their feet wet, to get into the habit. Because I'm one of these believers that the success of blogging happens to be to making it a habit.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, we are publishers. It's almost like putting out a daily newspaper or a magazine. And, hey, listen, people expect that. If you get your Time magazine every week on Thursday, Thursday you're watching your mailbox. You want your Time magazine, and it arrives, you sit down, you read it because you love Time magazine. That's why you subscribe. It's not so different for bloggers, one of the, there are things that we want to do with our blog, Judith. We want to build up trust, likability, authority, all of those things that really are going to work in our benefit when we start having something to offer the people who are reading. And one of the ways we do that is being reliable. Like if you say you're going to publish every Thursday, let's say, if you're only going to do it once a week, well, you better have that out there on Thursday every week without fail, and people will start to rely on it.
Mm-hmm. And they do look for it, especially if it's got those meaty tips. It depends on what they're doing, but it's the meaty tips that for what you and I do as nonfiction writers ourselves. We're offering tidbits. We're not doing stuff for warm and fuzzy, cuddly stuff.
Well, I don't mind a little warm and fuzzy once in a while, but no.
I'm all for warm and fuzzy, cuddly. But when people are coming to me, they like to get hugs once in a while. I'm all for that. But sometimes it is, I need to get this book done. I need to have you coordinate and put it together in project management and goose it along. That's what they primarily come for me for. So my blogging is going to be on those things that'll make it happen.
Absolutely.
All right. So what else? So I love the idea of identifying the keywords. So that's an exercise. I'm assuming we're going to be doing that.
Absolutely. All right.
Okay.
Now you are ready for number 3. And number 3 is going to be to sit down and start writing foundation posts. Now, what is a foundation post? Obviously, a foundation is what we build on. We build on the foundation, so we want to have a really secure, solid, and stable foundation. And if you were going to buy a house, that's one of the first things you're going to look at. Is the foundation in good shape? Because otherwise, the house could be beautiful, but if you don't have a good foundation, it's not going to work. Now, on a blog, foundation posts are exactly what they seem like. They could be definitions of terms that are special to your field. They could be history of how your field ended up being the way it is today. It could be your personal history in that field. It could be trade practices. It could be just very common stuff that you know back and forward, but that somebody who's brand new to this field, who just got interested, wouldn't have any idea. And this is really important, Judith, and I think a lot of people miss this step to their detriment. And the reason I say that is, we all, as we learn things, we become we have the curse of knowledge. We know so much that we forget what it's like to not know anything and yet to be passionately interested. The Foundation posts, part of their function is going to be to educate your readers so that you bring them up to the level where they're more likely to be doing business with you because they understand your offerings and the benefit of them.
Oh, that's critical what you've just said. So, because I've found, Joel, and this is kind of cuckoo, but I find a lot of people are stingy with their information because they're fearful that if you have it all, you won't want to come back to me. And I don't know about you, but the way I operate, I sit in on webinars, I go to conferences, I can't believe that I'm going to a conference in 2 weeks, 4 days before mine starts, to speak at, but also to get information, because I try to make decisions very quickly that, either I throw it out or I can use that. And if this person can add to my party of information, I'm going to engage them. I mean, I'm always on the search for that.
Absolutely, me too. Listen, I go to these, I go to speak at conferences, and I may even run into you at that one. But, the rest of the time, I'm there, sitting there learning from people. And, not just from the presenters, but I just love to connect with people, and one of the reasons is because everybody has something to teach me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, exactly. And again, it may be someone that I want to refer people to, or someone I even want to hire myself.
Absolutely. I mean, the networking that happens at live events is just irreplaceable. No matter how many, and I can get, tens of thousands of people on my blog, but being in a room with a group of people and being able to relate to them and talk to them or go have a coffee with somebody is just irreplaceable. And I would encourage anyone to dive in if they haven't already. And I just talked to one of my blog readers, who's kind of a fan, and she told me she's now signed up for both events within those 2 weeks, and she's going to be at both of them because she just wants to learn as much as possible about publishing.
Oh, you have to tell me who it is when we're on break. All right, we're going to take a break here in a couple of seconds. Joel has said critical steps, tagline. Number 2, you've got to
categories and keywords.
Yep, and 3, foundational post. We'll be right back. I'm Judith Briles. This is your guide to book publishing.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Since 1987, Color House Graphics has set the standard for quality book production. Whether you decide to print a small quantity of books or need a large print run, depend on Color House to help you. You'll receive professional help and advice the moment you reach one of our representatives. If you mention hearing about us on your guide to book publishing with Judith Briles, we will provide you a discount on the first order you place. To speak with a project manager, call us toll-free at 800-454-1916 or visit us at www.colorhousegraphics.com.
When Ned Thompson and Harry Shore started Thompson Shore in 1972, they believed employees with great character would make up the best company. They were right. They hired people who were not only experts in bookmaking, but who were obsessed with quality and delivering exceptional customer service. Almost 40 years later, Thompson Shore remains a 100% employee-owned company. Ned and Harry knew that successful customer projects are a direct result of empowered employees. We specialize in all books for large and small publishers. Creating beautiful and well-made books, we're dedicated to pleasing our customers by making the experience a good one from start to finish. The personal touch we have with our customers allows us to be innovative in solving their most difficult challenges. Our platform also ensures that we can remain flexible to meet our customers' unique needs and expectations. Our marketing kit can create buzz for your title, enhancing the promotion of your book during infancy. When you need to test the market to gauge your future sales, we can provide digitally printed books that will transition seamlessly into a larger offset run. From ebook to hard copy to delivery, our skillful customer service teams are at the ready to answer your most pressing question. At Thompson Shore, we know that making the highest quality books requires more than just best technologies. It requires superior customer service, professionalism to the trade, and commitment to environmental and social values. With these standards of excellence in place, you can be sure that we will always help you put your best book forward.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, so we're into blogging. Joel has gone through Joel Friedlander, the book's designer, has gone through some of the steps of creating a super blog. This is what that's the big goal here, to become one of the big boys in the arena. It's not going to happen overnight, but it can happen in a fairly reasonable period of time. And while you build up your credibility and your presence, what's going to happen is you're going to see book sales go. You're going to see your credibility go. If you are someone who sells your services in some way as a consultant, you're going to find business is going to come your way. Would that be safe to say, Joel?
In spades. All right, so there I was, Judith. I was a guy sitting in the spare bedroom with a computer trying to figure out how I was going to find somebody who needed their book designed.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you, that's a pretty tough marketing thing, because even people who are planning on publishing, there's only a small window of time where they're actually thinking about the book design. So you got to catch them at the right moment. And for that reason, most of my work was done through publishers rather than independent authors. Now, once I started blogging, within 3 months, I started getting inquiries in my email inbox about whether I could do somebody's book. In other words, people started coming to me. It completely changed the whole dynamic of the marketing of my service business. Completely. Instead of me chasing people, running around, trying to cold call people and going to events and trying to snag people and find out, all of a sudden, people started coming to me. They said, "Hey, Joel, you're the authority. Obviously, you know what you're doing. I've read your articles, dozens of articles there. I don't know anybody who knows more about this stuff. Would you please design my book?"
And you said, of course.
I did, and it got to the point where there were just too many people to respond to. Because books take a fair amount of work. Now, in my inbox, it's full of people inquiring about services every day, and that's a function of how much traffic I have on my blog.
And there you go. So it sounds like you need to expand or something, huh?
Well, and that's one of the reasons why, as you blog and you become more adept at it, more and more opportunities start to open up to you. For instance, there's the thing called deal flow. And I know, Judith, that you are familiar with this, but as you become a recognized authority in your field, people start bringing you deals. They want to pitch you deals. They want to get you into their project or do a joint venture. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden, instead of a guy working on a book, designing books, I started to have opportunities I never even dreamed about before to joint venture with people who had real, great products or big audiences, and they saw a way that we could work together.
Mm-hmm. So
as you go farther, you start creating your own opportunities. This year, I'm opening 3 businesses, all due to my blog. As a direct result.
Are you going to share us? Are you going to share what they are?
Sure. I've already opened one, and that is the site, an e-commerce site called bookdesigntemplates.com. Mm-hmm. And this site has answered a real need on the part of indie authors, and these are people who want to do their own books. They don't want to hire me. Maybe they can't afford it, or they just want to do it themselves because they love doing it. The problem is they don't want to buy and learn a big program like Adobe InDesign, so they do their books in Microsoft Word. Now, Judith, you and I know that you can't produce a truly professional book in Microsoft Word. It just doesn't work. However, I argued with these people for 2 years until I realized that that wasn't doing them any good, me arguing with them. And I went back to my tagline, how could I offer them practical help so their books were better, so they didn't look so bad? And so what we did, I partnered with somebody who has a lot of technical skill, and we put together a set of templates that you can buy, download, and start using right away. You just pull our sample text out, you throw your manuscript in there, and you've got a beautiful-looking book.
So this might be a great, well, maybe I'm wrong here. I'm just kind of speculating. But would this work for dropping it into ebook land?
Hey, you know, it's interesting you asked that because we had so much demand from people who wanted to do ebooks. We then went and produced both a print book and an ebook version of each design. You know, now, with ebooks, of course, we had to throw out some of the design elements like our running heads and stuff because you don't have those in ebooks. So for each design, we have a print book template available in 3 standard sizes and an ebook template. You can buy them separately or together. Mm-hmm. Not only that, Judith, I am bringing with me when I come to Denver a very special coupon code for anybody who's in attendance at the Author U extravaganza. And it's going to be a massive discount on everything in our template store for anybody who's at the event.
Well, I'm actually on your site as we're talking, looking at some of this, because I haven't really looked through the template deal. And this is a terrific deal for anybody. And you've got your print version, so I don't know where the ebook version is. Oh, there it is.
Well, you scroll down, you'll see them. The ebook versions are fantastic. They create beautiful-looking books. And, Judith, in about 2 weeks, we're about to roll out a whole series of nonfiction templates. These are fiction templates, the ones that you're looking at.
Yes.
They could be used for anything, but they're really designed for fiction. The nonfiction templates will have, number lists, bullet lists, bibliographies, notes, all the stuff that you run, A-level subheads, B-level subheads, indexes with 2-level formatting. Everything comes with the template. In other words, it even comes with the fonts that we designed the template around. Totally legal.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, this is fabulous. This looks great, Joel, because you've got enough variation in here that you've got with using drop-down letters, and you've got a little fancy headers to lead it in. So there's really nice variety. So excellent information.
Yeah. And that is a completely, this is a result of 2 things coming together from my blogging. One is, obviously the traffic. Having the traffic, it means, there's a platform there. People give me permission to talk to them on this subject, okay? And the other thing is that because I'm in a constant conversation with readers, you get to know what they need. Come on. This is unbelievable marketing power.
Okay, so I'm going to give you one more add-on to that, because here's what I hear from authors all the time that makes them cuckoo, is that the books. I'm talking about the e-world here now. The e-book is laid out. That's great, and now now it's been given back to me, and I don't know what in the hell to do. So the add-on service, Joel, is that you need somebody who loves to upload to every place for some fee, and authors will gladly pay that.
Well, that's a great idea. I will talk to my partner about it and see if that's something that we can implement.
Royalty. That's another royalty, Joel.
You love that passive income, don't you, Judith?
I don't have any coming in. I have to work my tush off. All right, so we've come back through these steps. So we've talked about what the real value of building that foundation, how it leads off into supporting your various businesses, and even it creates new businesses, which is very exciting. What else? What else is there?
Well, for instance, there's presentations, becoming a speaker. We were talking about the advantages of going to live events, and obviously if you are a speaker, like I'm getting this great opportunity you've given me, Judith, to come and speak to the people who are going to be at the extravaganza. Now, the reason that you asked me is because you found out about me from my blog. If I was still sitting in the spare bedroom designing books and not talking to anybody, you wouldn't have even known who I was. So, it's up to the blogger to decide what direction they want to grow in. It may be just producing more books, but for most nonfiction authors, it's going to be some combination of special events, workshops, presentations, information products, repurposing your content into different kinds of forms. Like, here's an example, Judith. I took a lot of the information that's already on my blog. It's free. Anybody could go there right now and read it. And instead of just republishing it, I made it into a series of video lessons. Okay, so I had to learn how to do video, and that was, took me a couple of months to learn that, but it wasn't that hard. And now I had this fantastic tool. The video lessons I put together into a training course, which I now sell to people who are interested in learning about publishing. Now, that couldn't have happened without all the work I did putting content on my blog.
So, for someone who loves, and we have 1 minute before our next break, but for someone who loves to blog 6 days a week, okay, so it may take someone else a little bit longer, but you know what? Maybe not. If you're so concentrated, like I look at some of the books that I wrote, if I just pulled it out, and you do make a decision, especially for some of our longtime listeners, if you've been writing for a long time, you may not want to go down and be reknown as the expert in a specific area. You may have left it and gone to another area, and that's a decision. That's a business decision you make. But come back to your own area of what you're doing, and then break out. Let's go back to your book and your chapters and break those out. And what Joel is saying, blog. We've got video tools that you can do. That means you sell them, and it could lead to other areas. And there's just huge things that come with that. All right, when we come back in our last part of our hour, we're going to really get into some steps-by-steps and talk about maybe some of the money side of this. I'm Judith Briles. My guest is Joel Friedlander. We'll be right back.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Do you sell stuff? Do you want to sell books? Lots of them? If yes, you must take credit cards, the most widely used form of payment today. The free terminal has created a special program for your guide to book publishing listeners. No contract. All equipment is free. Extremely low rates and no termination fees ever. Contact Alan Dean at alan@thefreeterminal.com or call him at 303-668-6828. The free terminal has handled all credit card transactions for both author you and Judith for over a year. Don't wait another day. Contact Alan at thefreeterminal.com or call 303-668-6828 and tell him you want the no contract author you deal.
The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and a guide to partner with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand, and is a financial success, a bestseller. It's your choice. You choose. You need the book shepherd. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You don't need problems, you want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and the chaos. At times, she's had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher or by a publishing service provider or sometimes even the author themselves. Judith Briles is the book shepherd if you want to create a book with no regrets. Give her a call today, 303-885-2207. That's 303-885-2207, or email her at judith@briles.com. By the way, Briles is spelled B-R-I-L-E-S. Follow Judith on Twitter at My Book Shepherd and on Facebook at The Book Shepherd.
At Total Printing Systems, customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Alrighty, with me is the mastermind, Joel Friedlander, of all things blogs, but also book production, book strategies, dealing with predators, which is one of my loves. I don't like having to do it, but I'm willing to do it. And that the whole thing of creating a really solid business around your words. And your words that can go out on the internet. Of course, the internet is a spectacular tool to get them out, but there are tips to the trade. For example, as Joel said, you got to have the right tagline. You got to have the right keywords that you're using with that. And Joel, where we left off, we were talking about some of the repurposing that you had done with the creation of your video lessons and your training courses that all came from your blogs.
Absolutely. And, I've also talked extensively with Nina Amir, who teaches people how to blog their books. And you can do it either way. But, the fact is that most nonfiction authors have a huge amount of content that's not being used. It's been written as articles for trade publications or a speech you gave or a presentation or a workshop or I found that most nonfiction authors have so much content that they could start putting that up on their blog. And that leads me to lesson number 4, because the next really important thing is authors, particularly book authors, have to learn that the blog is a really different animal than a book. And it's very different from a magazine or a newspaper. It has its own rules, and a lot of those have to do with how you present your content. And so that's really the 4th thing that we focus on. How do we put together content so it's really going to be attractive, engaging, and also function really well kind of behind the scenes to attract search engine traffic. So you got to be able to present your content so it really brings in readers, but it also works to bring in search traffic.
Well, I know, Joel, you do that spectacularly well within your links, because you have such an inventory of articles, blogs that you've written, that you link back to a lot of your own stuff all the time. Would that be correct to say?
Absolutely, and that's really important. You know, that really helps your SEO also, Judith. Having those internal links inside your blog structure is very helpful.
So it's something that maybe that and here's an important rule here, because it's one of my concerns when I look at and look at some of the other blogs and how you and I met is actually I started following your blog and then I reached out to you, but that the if Joel's wise because he links back to his own stuff primarily. If you have too many links that take them away from your stuff, my experience is that they may not come back.
You know, that's a really great point. And I have to admit to you, Judith, that is one of the reasons why I don't have a blog roll on my blog. And you frequently will look at a person's sidebar, and you'll see they got a blog roll. Some people have 100 blogs there. And really, if you think about it, what are you saying? You're saying, here's an invitation to leave my blog. Oh, my God, you know, I spent so much time and trouble getting this visitor here. Why would I want to invite them to leave? I don't want to do that. And that's also a reason why I actually took all the advertising off my blog. I was actually making several $100s a month just running ads based on my traffic. And I took all those off, too, because it was more important to me to build, to have that as the center of my business, where I could really care for the readers and the browsers who came by in the best possible way. And that doesn't include sending them to some other destination.
Well, I think I'm so glad we brought this up because it's critical. And I know that, you've given us several articles that we put out in our monthly resource. And also, I should say to all our listeners that the Author U April resource is up with 39 pages of content, of which is a great article by Joel. Now, one of the things that we do is sometimes we will take out some of those live links because we know they'll exit the page. I mean, they'll exit. Totally.
Absolutely.
So
you want to keep them there.
Yeah. So that's very, wise information here. All right. Anything else in our number 4 point with this?
Well, I'm just going to go to number 5, and that'll be the end, my last point.
All right.
And number 5 is the big mystery point, because it's the thing that nobody ever tells you. It's the reason why many, many blogs fail. Traffic, having readers, is an existential need for a blog. And the reason I say that is because you could love writing, you can keep writing, but if you don't have readers, eventually you will quit. And you're going to say something like, well, I tried it, I worked hard, it just didn't work for me. And that's where point number 5 comes in, Judith, because authors and bloggers have to realize it's not enough to have keywords and taglines and categories and content. Number 5 is you have to market your blog. If you don't know how to market your blog, or nobody ever told you and you never do anything about it, your blog probably isn't going to succeed, or it's never going to reach its full potential.
And so we just have a couple of minutes here, but do you have maybe 5 minutes to talk about some of the key steps to market the blog?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, part of it, bleeds into topic 4, and that is once you realize that you have to write your articles, I call it both for people and for robots, with the keywords and everything, then you realize that you have to have a linking strategy. And that is, links are what runs the internet and traffic. You have to have a link in order to get to somebody's site. And so you have to have a linking strategy. And that's the beginning of understanding how to market your blog. But yeah, there's a whole slew of marketing tactics and strategies that we can employ as bloggers, like commenting on other people's blogs. And here's by the way, this is the other task I give people, and that is to go out and find out what the top 10 blogs in their specific niche are and start following them. Get to know those bloggers. Comment on those blogs. When you start getting big enough yourself, you're going to start trying to trade articles with these people. Because if you think about it, maybe you have a brand new blog on dog care. But there's already big blogs talking about dog care. Now, if you think about that, they already have the traffic that you want. They have the readers. So it makes sense that you want to start networking and marketing at that location. Mm-hmm. So every blogger should know what the top 5 or 10 blogs in their specific niche are, and that they should have a focus on them, and they should be watching those blogs every day.
And there's also a lovely variation. You may be stuck. You may be feeling, oh my God, it's Monday and I got to get another blog out. But by the top 10 just came in, and holy schmoly, there is something there that triggers you, and you can see different twists and different variations in different ways, and you have a whole another take on something you saw, and it might be just the missing link that you're looking for.
Absolutely. And those make great blog articles. Anyway, sometimes you can just respond to a popular blogger in your niche. For instance, they might say something you disagree with. Well, then write an article. Disagree with them, and I guarantee you will get traffic.
Well, and not only that, but you can cite back to that blog. In Monday's blog, Susan Smith wrote, blah, blah, blah. Exactly. I really disagree with this because this is my experience as a marketing pro and moving books, blah, 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 So,
absolutely. You have to contribute something of value. It has to be something substantial enough that people perceive it as valuable.
Okay, that's great. That's a great tip. So start your blog with a disagreement, if appropriate.
Absolutely.
I like that a lot. So with that, we have, I know we're just a minute away here, but Greg Godek is going to be there, and he's going to be paying attention to you because he hasn't gotten to blogging. He's brilliant at marketing. Here's a guy who bought an RV, wrapped his book cover around it, Joel. He drove around America for 2 years. He drove up to the NBC parking lot. He got out. He gave everybody a copy of his book, and waiting in line for the Tonight Show, and Jay Leno ranted about it for 15 minutes. That is priceless. But so he is our closing keynote. That's Greg Godek. So Joel Friedlander is going to be spectacular Thursday starting at 5:00. You get dinner with it. And that's at the Extravaganza. So everyone go to AuthorU, AUTHOR, the letter U.org. Sign up. There are only 12 spots left. So get there. We'll see you. Joel, thank you for being with us once again. And I'll see you in 3 weeks.
I can't wait, Judith. I'm really looking forward to it.
All right. So we'll be back next week. Penny Sanseveri is going to be with us. Penny is going to be the Saturday morning opening speaker. If you want to know about internet publicity, Penny's the person. I'm Judith Riles, and
Thank you for being a part of Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr.